So you're playing Sidereal Confluence and you need to learn the Faderan species. Well, you came to the right place. First, if you care, let's learn how to pronounce this species. Faderan. Second, you need to know that this is a game of compounded interest. Don't invest so hard in technology and upgrades that you leave yourself without resources, because resources are what you need in future turns. Now let's read the background for this faction. For the first 30 million years, the only sapient species in the galaxy has been the Faderan and their creations, enough time for the stains of rust that mark the locations of once great Faderan cities to themselves erode and blow away. The Faderan value time periods that the other aliens think of as geologic, and yet their creations inevitably decay before such periods pass. Faderan society is one poised between the futility of action and a drive to nonetheless have a meaningful impact in the thousand of millennia ahead. The Faderan refuse to speak of the deep past, what happened to leave the galaxy devoid of other sapiens for so long, and whether there are any other enclaves among the stars are both deeply held secrets. Extremely recently, by Faderan standards, explorers discovered the new sapient life had evolved on several worlds. Conclave at first chose policy of watching silently, lest their interference cause for uncoverable harm. Then two species made them take action. The Kajaz, balkanized and warlike, were at the cusp of interstellar travel, having invented primitive hyperdrives. They saw conquest of the galaxy as their manifest destiny. And then the Kit. They had developed an insane engine called the Null Space Drive that promised to catapult them throughout the galaxy in a foolishly short-sighted bid outrun their own population. If the Faderan did nothing, the galaxy was sure to be engulfed in war between these two species. In private, Faderan sometimes confide that there was another reason they held the Kajaz back. This saw their younger selves in the Kajaz and felt that no other species should have to shoulder such regrets. The Faderan sabotaged both species technologies while secretly advancing the other aliens to comparable abilities. During this time, the Faderan sought out Imdril, fleets, and the Unity. With promises of boundless shared technology, they convinced each species to work together to build a single joint society where everyone could be equals of others, a Sidereal Confluence. The species has a unique deck called Relic Worlds, which is shuffled before the game and kept face down. On the back of each of these cards is a converter that can be run during the trade phase to play the top card of the deck. All of these converters are the same, 4 white cubes and an ice planet, to then gain whatever is on the other side, which is different from card to card. This converter can only be run at most once per turn. Most Relic Worlds have special rules, covered on the Relic World board, which is a second cardboard player board this player has. Relic Worlds can be traded and will be returned at the end of the turn like all other cards. So Relic Worlds are most valuable early in the game and early in the trade phase. One of these Relic Worlds on turns 1 through 3 make total sense. Round 4 is more iffy, and round 5 and 6 are usually not worth doing them. Really, there just isn't enough time for them to have an impact if you get them late in the game. But Relic Worlds are powerful, but more importantly, they are highly situational and very expensive. Once you get one of these, your goal should be to change your situation to use it. And for that reason also, you don't want all too many of these. You don't want to be able to be pulled in several directions, so 2 or 3 of these in a game is probably sufficient. Now, also, when getting one early in the trade phase, you have time to build that turn's trade strategy around it. If you get it at the end of the trade phase, everyone already has what they want, and there are fewer free resources out there. You'll struggle to use it well. And many of the Relic Worlds are challenging to use as well. If you can't get or don't want to use it this round, loan it to someone else for a turn. This species also has a set of tokens called acknowledgements, and these can be traded to players by the Faderan player, but non-Faderan players cannot trade these acknowledgement tokens away. Whenever a non-Faderan player that has one of these acknowledgement tokens invents a technology, they must return one of these tokens to the Faderan, and the Faderan, will gain 1 victory point from the common pool. But multiple technologies are completed in a single turn. 1 token is used per technology, and the Faderan gains 1 point for each. Because of this, each acknowledgement token accepted will eventually be worth 1 point each, so long that the player that holds them invents technologies. So just know, if you invest heavily in acknowledgements, you'll have a weak economy and few resources to invent. So this is how you play the acknowledgement tokens throughout the game. Keep reminding players that every time they invent, they can get free resources from you. Try to catch players as they prepare to invent and offer them something to accept your acknowledgement tokens. You will slowly gain victory points. You should sell these tokens for increasing prices as the game goes on. Something like less than 1 small cube on turn 1, a small cube on turn 2, a large cube for middle game rounds 3 and 4. You can use these tokens to get trade to go through that are otherwise too marginal as well. When haggling with another player, you can give them to the price that they want in exchange for taking an acknowledgement token. Other players will figure out what you're gaining versus them with the acknowledgements. 1 point to them equals 3 small cubes or 2 large cubes, and they might expect that in trade, but that's not how it works. If you are paying more than a large cube, you can probably get as much value out of these resources by running them through a converter or inventing your own technology with them, and do this without helping another player. So 1 large cube max. Also think of it like this. They're worth 1 point to you, but the other player loses nothing. By paying a large cube, you lose half a point for a half a point net gain, and your opponent gains half a point for the large cube. So this is a fair deal this way. Sort of. At least you can think of it like that. Really, resources are more valuable early in the game, and points are more valuable late in the game. So that's why you start with small cubes first. Maybe the first round, not even a small cube, but more like, if you want to trade with me, you're going to have to take one of these 2. Some other ideas is sell your acknowledgements for points. Trade someone a converter that produces points with the plan for them to accept your acknowledgement tokens. Try to rescue other players and ask to be acknowledged. When a player is close to inventing a technology, offer to pay a small or large cube as part of the code in return for them accepting an acknowledgement token. And know that on the last turn, it's all about points. And the fact that you can gain points for no cost to another player means that lots of trades open up for you. Really, you will need to find ways to help others as well as help yourself. So really, there are 3 strategies that you can pivot to and from depending on how things shake out. First, you can do what everyone else does and use your economy to invent many technologies. Strategy number 2, sell as many acknowledgement tokens as possible. This can easily give you 1/3 of your in-game points score this way. And number 3 is you can play as many relic worlds as you can. Other players are making any of these strategies difficult, then you need to shift to another one. And just remember, the Faderan want the younger species to control the outcome of the confluence. They just want to be remembered, which is what the acknowledgements are. And that's the Faderan. If you have any more ideas or recommendations on how to play with this species, please comment below. We would love to read and see what you have to say about it. Again, this is Boardgame Brody, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.